Are you a passionate basketball fan who loves to keep up with the latest news about the Golden State Warriors? Then subscribe to our channel now to access exclusive content. Chris Paul is a Golden State Warrior. For some NBA fans, it feels wrong. Fans of the Los Angeles Clippers and Houston Rockets may especially recoil. Paul was a leading man in their quests to surmount the Warriors. How could he join the enemy? Well, the Warriors traded for Paul. It was an effort to make the best of a bad situation. Jordan Poole's time on the Warriors had obviously come to a conclusion. The Warriors had to move him, but his trade value wasn't as high as they'd have liked. Flipping Poole for Paul was a compromise. It could pay dividends. Paul is one of the brightest minds to ever set foot on an NBA court. On the other hand, he does typically prefer a slower, more prodding pace than the Warriors. His pre-existing personal relationships with some of his new teammates could disrupt chemistry as well. If this doesn't work out, could the Warriors send him to the New Orleans Pelicans in a trade for Jonas Valanciunas? With that said, Paul is nearing retirement. He's far from the first player to close out his career as a journeyman. Throughout NBA history, we've seen players in places where, for some reason, it didn't feel as if they belonged. Take Shaquille O'Neal. The man they call Shaq is one of the most dominant forces in NBA history. When you picture O'Neal, you probably picture him on the Los Angeles Lakers, or maybe the Orlando Magic. In all likelihood, you don't picture O'Neal on the Phoenix Suns or the Boston Celtics, but he played there. Hakeem Olajuwon on the Toronto Raptors. Vince Carter on the Atlanta Hawks. Chris Paul on the Golden State Warriors. On the other hand, this deal would have Paul heading back to the team he started his career on. Does it make basketball sense for the Pelicans? Ironically, we've billed this as a deal that sends Valanciunas to the Warriors. That's not the player that the Pelicans would likely miss. It's been widely reported that they'd like to replace Valanciunas with a more defensive-minded big man. In all likelihood, the Pelicans would hesitate to give up Nance Jr. Sure. With that said, Pelicans would have to consider it at this price. They're not really doing this deal for Paul either, they're doing it for a lightly protected first-round pick. In time, the Pelicans could use this pick, in tandem with some others from their extension collection, to acquire the defensive big man they're looking for. In the meantime, Paul would be a useful mentor for this team. He could be a useful basketball player, too. Paul may be well outside of his prime, but he could be highly effective as a game manager alongside dynamic offensive players like Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram. Should the Warriors give him up? Is this the right return? It's certainly interesting. Valanciunas may be a limited defender, but he's an outstanding offensive player. Meanwhile, pairing him with Draymond Green would help to minimize Valanciunas' defensive limitations. With that said, the Warriors should be interested in Nance as well. He's a versatile combo big who can guard across positions. Would the Warriors have a logjam? Sure. That's fine, neither of these are long-term contracts. This deal allows the Warriors to mix and match front court formations until they figure out what works. Meanwhile, some fans will just be happy to see Paul get out of a Warriors jersey. We will bring more news and updates here. Like and activate notifications and be the first to receive all our content.